Hello. So I'm going to make sure that this is working. So I'm going to make sure that this is working. Hello, Jelena. I'm going to make sure that this is working. Hello, Jelena. Okay, so I have to mute YouTube so I don't have echoing, and I'm going to be just a minute behind. YouTube has a little bit of lag. So I'm going to wait just a couple of minutes and let people join. And make sure that everything is okay. I have 4 viewers so far, it looks like. People aren't really, if you want to message that you're here, just let me know so we can start chatting. We're going to talk about the Planner Journal combo. Have you tried Ustream? No, I haven't tried Ustream yet. I may have to because Google Hangout stuff says it's not going to be working after April 25th. So I may end up having to go with Ustream. I was just starting to really get the Hangouts thing. So I don't know why they keep changing everything up on YouTube and Google. So yesterday I tried to do the coffee chat video about 5 times. I had corrupted files, and yeah, just I did the footage and I couldn't get it to work. So I have the winner. For the Janellefish, I'm going to be announcing that. Once this is over, I'll be putting the video together and announcing the winner. I'm really excited about the winner. It's easy to use Ustream. I don't really know anything about Ustream, so I'll be checking it out. Hello. Poet Spice Biblio Scribe says howdy. Once this goes up on YouTube, people won't be able to read the chat. So if anybody has a question or anything, I'll be repeating the question. So for those people who can't watch right now, they can watch later and they'll know what I'm talking about. This is my first time doing a live coffee chat. I've done a few live videos when it comes to writing. Hello, Happy Seeker. Ustream.tv. I will look that up once I'm done with making the Janellefish winner announcement video. Mr. Rockstar wasn't real thrilled about being on camera. He had just gotten up and was about to get ready for work and everything, so he's still in his pajama shirt. And so, but I'm like super excited. I'm going to be messaging Rosie and Janelle to let them know who the winner is as soon as I get your information. Well, thank you, Jelena. Jelena says she's so happy she was able to catch me live, that she loves my videos. I appreciate that. One of the things that I noticed when I was going to do the coffee chat yesterday, I had on something. Well, thank you. I haven't seen the journal in person. I've only seen the same picture you've seen. Hold on. Okay, so I have, so people can see, this is my personal color and a personal size. And this is my writer's Bible that so many people are, you know, the color is darker in this one because this is newer, and they do age. They do. Thank you. I got the skirt from TJ Maxx quite a few years ago. It's rainy and cloudy outside, and so it's a little chilly in the house. And I wanted to be comfortable. I'm barefoot doing the video, but you still want to go shopping in my closet. I used to work in finance, so I used to wear business clothes, skirts, jackets, suits, button-up shirts, dress clothes. Every day I had to wear heels or, you know, really fancy dress clothes. And now that I work from home, a lot of times when you see me doing the video, I am in jeans and whatever top you see. A lot of times I don't have on shoes, or I have on flip-flops or Converse low tops. Thank you. I love my writer's Bible. And you know, the thing with the writer's Bible is that when I first contacted Janelle, she was one of 2 people that I contacted about a traveler's notebook. And I contacted her because I had seen Romany's Dragon's Blood traveler's notebooks that Janelle had made, and she told Janelle, she gave Janelle descriptions of some tattoos and some information, and what she did was kind of leave some of that up to Janelle. Well, I told Janelle that as a writer, I wanted like a typewriter, and I wanted to keep it simple, but I wanted it colorful. I wanted it to induce passion and inspiration, and I wanted, when I looked at it, to make me feel kind of like the colorful version of Indiana Jones's kind of a notebook, you know, that a little bit of a rugged, just a little bit, but still be creative looking. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he was in jammies. He was in AC/DC pajama bottoms and a t-shirt, I think, from one of his old jobs. But so I told her I wanted it engraved. Good morning, Lisa. But I used to wear dress clothes all the time, and now I wear casual clothes, so it feels really nice. And I need to purge a lot of those dress clothes out of my closet. But with Janelle, I ordered this. We're changing subjects rapidly here. I ordered this, and I let her do what she wanted with it. I told her kind of what I wanted, the feel that I wanted, and the colors that I wanted. I wanted reds and blues and purples, but just a little bit of blue. I want it to be sort of dream-like, but, you know, and this is what she did. And I have to say that for a lot of people, sometimes traveler's notebooks, well, some people like them more in the earthy tones. And so many people have asked about the Writer's Bible. I thought I'd get as close to the Writer's Bible as you could get to do the giveaway. So I did the A5 bifold. It doesn't have any engraving or anything on it. I purchased it myself. So that's why it's US only, because I couldn't afford to send it overseas if anybody overseas one. So if you want anything extra, I guess you could probably ask Janelle and maybe get something extra. But it will be the color of the picture that I showed in the video, which is, it actually looks quite a bit more like this. It has the it's brighter because my Writer's Bible is over 2 years old now. And it is aged. Okay. I will someday, when I save my dollars, have a Janelle fish. Well, when you save your dollars, if you use my code and you buy one that you can buy on her website and it's not custom, you can use my code and save 10%. Or if you belong to the Facebook group for hers, you could actually get, sometimes they do discount things. So, love the color. My favorite TN is bright fuchsia, and my favorite color is blue. Then you will like this one, which is what we're about to talk about. This is the Dark Unicorn, and it houses my, it is my one book to rule them all, other than the Writer's Bible, but this is separate because this is what I journal and plan out of. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the one book to rule them all, the combination of journaling and planning, because that was what my coffee chat yesterday was going to be about, that I tried like 5 or 6 times to create and just couldn't. Yesterday was an off day. I spilled a whole pitcher of tea. I broke a glass and a coffee mug. And then over the weekend, I broke 2 other glasses and another coffee mug, I think. Yeah, it's been a day. And then Mr. Rockstar spilled a whole glass of tea. And then he slipped on the wet floor right before he could clean it all up and spilled yet more on himself. So, but in this, I just changed things up because I finished the morning pages insert. I write a lot and I write big, which is why I use an A5. And although this is actually a standard size, I noticed with my A5 Mermaid that it got kind of floppy, like super floppy, because it stretched it some, having like such a big notebook in it. This is the old Omni Journal, which actually isn't that old. It has a few months in it, and I'm going to go back to it. But when I got sick, by the time the beginning of March rolled around, I was suffering from depression and anxiety from being sick for so long. And I knew I needed to kind of recoup, refresh, revamp something. I needed a break. The Janelli fish thing is already over. When I did the video, I told him I would be announcing the winner today. As of midnight last night, it was over. So, unfortunately, it's over. But one of the winners is in the chat. The winner is in our chat. So I'm actually excited. She's going to be super excited. So this is, like I said, the one book. I call it the one book because it is a traveler's notebook. I hope I don't freeze up. And I put this in here, which is the bullet journal I was using. I had started it. When did I start it? It's going to be doing my morning pages now. I started it. I set it up for March, and I didn't use it for very much of March at all, because the last date I have anything listed for is the 15th of March. So this is what the main thing is. Like I said, this is going to be my morning pages. This notebook right here is the Crossfield. It's by Nanami Papers. It's their 7Cs one, and it's an A5. It's Tomoho River paper, and it's dot grid. Well, this one has the little tiny crosses. And what I do in here is I do planning and journaling, commonplace journaling, bullet journaling, text journaling, bullet journaling, I said that already, art. I do a little bit of everything. And I read the article for Carrie Harling's Planner magazine about planners versus journals. And I'm not a real big into the planning community, because I never really fit in that community, as far as like, I tried the Filofax. It didn't really work for me. I'm not real big on spiral bound or disc bound stuff. So I've never owned an Erin Condren or any of those. The closest I came was I ordered Inkwell Press's inserts to go into my Filofax, and I tried those. Cher said, sorry to hear about your anxiety and depression. Thank you. I have it on a regular basis, but when something happens, like being sick for 2 months, having 2 different kinds of flu during 2 months span, it takes a toll on you physically and mentally. So the anxiety got worse, and when the anxiety gets worse, the depression really kicks in. I wasn't really doing a whole lot of planning towards the end of that being sick, because I'd write down to-dos, and out of the list of to-dos, I might be lucky if I could get 1 or 2 things done. I was pushing myself really hard to get some videos done, to get stuff for Patreon done, to get post on Facebook some in the groups, and to you know, do basic stuff in the house like cooking and cleaning, and yeah. So laundry piled up. Totally understand not being in a traditional planner style mode. I can't plan by week, must have a month. You can't be daily unless it is to-do list on occasion. I think everybody's planning system is what you have to work, you know, you have to work around your own planning system. One of the things that I really took to heart was I was listening to one of Romney's videos, and I think it was the very first One Book July video I watched, and she said, it doesn't matter what planner you use. If your planner system doesn't work for you, the planner won't change it. Thank you. Cher said she loves watching my journaling videos. And you know, I had a journaling system that was working pretty well. The a hybrid sort of thing of Smashbooking, Hobonichi style or Fobonichi style journaling, what people refer to as text, art, words, visual journaling, illustrated journaling, or real life journaling. You love your happy planner. I've never tried a happy planner. Never had a happy planner. They look fun though. So I set out that first One Book July trying to figure out what my planning system was. What would work for me, because I've always been a to-do list person. I was doing bulleted to-do lists way back in high school, which was in the early 80s. And most of the time it was over to the side of my notebook, or it was on a legal pad or in a composition book. When I was in school, they didn't give us planners. So I didn't have any. I ended up, after high school, I bought like an organizer. It was probably back then, this was the late 80s, so when I went to work at the bank, it's probably a Franklin Covey, because it was a brown leather one. So Poet said, I have to go back to work teaching these high schoolers. Have a good day. Thank you. Lisa said, I love watching planning videos, but my style is more of a journaling and then to do stuff along with random notes. Take care, Poet. Have a good day. I have a daily to-do list, but I never do what I tell myself I need to do. What I started doing a long time ago was writing every single thing I needed to do down. And I would start with the big things, because, you know, people call it now that frog thing. But I would start with the things I didn't really want to do, the things that I knew I had to do. I would put the top priority ones at the top, and I would work my way down. And I would put a check mark by it when I started it. And then when I finished it, I would make that check mark an X. And by the end of the day, hopefully I had more X's, you know, but if the phone rang at work, or if somebody came in, or, you know, I went to lunch or whatever, because I have ADHD, I knew that if I got distracted or stopped whatever I was doing, and then I went to go back to doing, I may not remember exactly what I was doing. So if I had a check mark by it, I knew that I had already started it. So I would look at the check marks, and then, you know, by that, it would help me remember what I was doing, because I can remember 10 years ago, but sometimes I can't remember 10 minutes ago. So when the bullet journal system came out, I didn't know anything about it. It's been on YouTube for years, the bullet journal system, but it didn't start getting super popular until a little bit later, at least not like super, super popular. I think it's been popular for a long time, but it wasn't so mainstream popular. And there are a dozen plus ways to bullet journal, and I don't think that there's any right way or wrong way. I am one of those people that will always need a calendar. Will always need to look at a calendar. I can write down that log type calendar thing that, you know, so many people do with the bullet journal, and I can log things, and that works pretty well, but I still need a calendar. I have to have a calendar. What happens when you combine your journaling and your planning, if you're a little bit OCD, then you have to figure out a way to set it up yourself, unless you have inserts, unless you, like some people, and it would be ideal for some people, not for me, but for other people, is to have an insert that you can put in your traveler's notebook that is for your to-dos or for your bullet journaling. And that would work. Or a notebook, a traveler's notebook, and have a bullet journal in there, and then have a journal in there. Or whatever works for you. I tried all of the above. And I was trying to kind of get away from so much overlap. But to be honest, I've noticed that having some overlap actually helps me remember things more. The only thing I can't do when I combine the planning and the journaling, or the bullet journaling and the journaling, is have to-dos on my actual journal page. There is something about, I tried it in little boxes, I tried it over in a corner, I've tried it all kinds of ways. I can put it on a sticky note and just slap it on there, and that works out okay, except sometimes the sticky note's not big enough. And then I have to go with the bigger sticky note. And then the sticky note kind of covers up my journal page if I want to film. Happy Seeker says, I use a Hobo Weeks for bullet journaling and another insert for Omni journaling. And the Hobonichi Weeks wasn't so little, and the lines weren't so little. For somebody who has to wear reading glasses, I have bifocals, and looking at those little tiny faint lines is just frustrating, very aggravating. And I don't write little, I write big. So the lines kind of get avoided because I can't pay any attention to the line because I can't write that little. And I write so big that I couldn't do actual bullet journaling in the Hobonichi Weeks. I wouldn't have enough room. It would be just, everything would be over in the right-hand side, and then by the middle of the week, I wouldn't have enough room for the rest of the week. So I've started using my Hobonichi A5, which was for planning, bullet journaling, personal stuff, finances, home stuff. I took a little bit of a break from it the first week of April, but towards the end of the first week of April, I realized that I really needed it to do our finances and stuff. So it's separate from the Omni Journal. And I really don't like labels. I really don't like labels. So what I'm going to do, so I don't have to keep picking up the Traveler's Notebook, is I'm going to take the Omni Journal out of here for now. And we're going to talk about how finding something that works for me has been a work in progress. And I don't know that I have it perfected yet. Lisa says, I love dot grid, works great for big writers. I also write big and cursive. I mix up cursive and print. So this is the actual Omni Journal outside of the Traveler's Notebook. I do everything in this journal. And I could use technically a bullet journal, a Leuchtturm, but it would only last me maybe 2 months, if that. Because I write so much and I write so big. These don't last me, they last me maybe 4 5 months, depending on what I do. So in here I have the inspiration. It's not actually a vision board because I don't have any goals on there, or like pictures of things that would be goals. I'm probably going to do that back here in the back. And I may end up covering this. I haven't made up my mind. But when I started setting this up, I set it up like a bullet journal with an index, and then I just journaled. And I just journaled because I was getting back into journaling after having not journaled for a good week or two. Yeah, this is probably going on 2 weeks. And I just journaled. And I just journaled. See the Pepto-Bismol? Yeah, we were not doing very well. And I just journaled. And sometimes it was a 2-page spread. Sometimes it was a 1-page spread. And then I started talking about all of this with Facebook and with YouTube. And at St. Patrick's Day, I stopped. And I started actually getting things ready for April because I got worse. I got the cold flu instead of, I still had the stomach flu, but ended up with the cold flu. And I knew I needed to get back to journaling, so I had started journaling again. And I didn't even do any planner stuff in here really. I just did journaling. But then when I got sick again, and I was talking about, I really wished, I did a coffee chat, and I talked about how I really wished it was One Book July. How that the next week, the next month I meant was One Book July. That I needed One Book July. I needed to regroup. I needed a new perspective. I needed to look at things differently. I needed a change. I wasn't sure what exactly I needed, but when I don't journal, there is something really wrong. Even like when I don't journal at all, no kind of journaling, any kind of journaling, not planning, not to-do list, not text journaling, not even morning pages, nothing. I wasn't doing any kind of journaling. The only kind of journaling I did were some things that I drew and did stuff like that for Patreon. Is pretty much all I did. I did some coloring pages, a PDF or so, I think. I did some things outside of this, and I set up April. And I was talking with my good friend Talisha and a couple of other people, and we were talking about all of this. And I was like, I need to get back to basics with my journaling and planning. And that was how Back to Basics April came up. That's how we got Back to Basics April, the name and the idea, because it wasn't just about One Book July. It wasn't just about that. It was about a lot of things. I needed to kind of purge. I do Fauxbonichi style journaling, but lately haven't felt like writing. I was really into the Fauxbonichi style journaling, and I even did Fauxbonichi. I was in the group and was posting every day, but then things changed, and then the rules got like super enforced. And I believe, which is why I have my own journaling group now, that it doesn't matter what kind of journaling you do. Whether you call it a Fauxbonichi or you call it an Omni Journal, which is why I changed the name of my group from Omni Journaling with Burgess to just Journaling with Burgess. Because I don't give a rat's badootie about whether you journal in a Fauxbonichi or an Omni Journal or a bullet journal or a journal or what you call it. I don't care. I don't care what you call it. And I don't care what you put on your daily pages or if you do daily pages. I think you should be able to share your journal pages no matter what kind of journal pages there are. I think if you have any kind of journal, that's what's important, is that you're doing some kind of journaling. And if you want to share it, or if you don't want to share and you just kind of want to look at what other people are sharing, if you're too shy to share, I would like for everybody in the group to feel comfortable enough to share. But I understand that there are some people who can't share. I am still a member of the Fauxbonichi group, but I don't post in there anymore because I would like to be able to share my setup. I would like to be able to talk about journaling and planning, because a Fauxbonichi is actually created from a Hobonichi, and a Hobonichi includes planning. It includes the weekly and the monthly spread stuff. Yeah, I am a member. If you look, I am a member of Hobonichi Journalers, and I do love the group. I still, on occasion, like pages. I love all the people in the group, but you can only share pages that are actually Hobonichi memory keeping kind of pages. So if you share pages of your setup, like if you shared a page like this, you'd have to share it in the appropriate part, like the planner part for Hobonichi. And I'm not going to separate my journal like that. I'm not. And I'm not saying anything bad about it, but I decided that, you know what, if that group wasn't meeting my needs, then maybe I needed to form my own group. Journaling with Burgess would be good. I have so boring way to journal, only writing and Italian writing, but I love the way that you speak about journaling. Thank you. If you want to put your journal pages that are text in Italian, I don't know that there will be very many people who can read Italian, but there's a way to blur out some stuff if you don't want people to read it. But the goal here, see, I didn't even put anything on here. I changed things up. But see, this, I could put this maybe in certain kind of in certain Facebook groups for journaling. But what I noticed is that if I wanted to post pictures of my Hobonichi, I needed to go to the Hobonichi group. If I wanted to post pictures of my Omni Journal part, then I would go to their group. If I wanted to post memory keeping days, which are what this is actually Hobonichi style journaling right here, or Hobonichi style journaling right here. I am doing memory keeping. I've drawn pictures and watercolored and put stickers in about my day, about how that day went. I've been journaling like this for a very long time. And so this is how I do that. I used to put the to-dos on there. I don't do it anymore because it grated on my nerves. But I realized that you had to go to all these separate Facebook groups to post different parts of a journal whenever you combine your planning or bullet journaling or whatever into one notebook. Unless it was One Book July. And then if it was One Book July, you could do the tag One Book July. Or you could put them in the Omni journaling group, because Yippee-ki-yay, she, Erin, is wonderful about, you can post whatever you want to in there. But I noticed that some people got confused, and maybe they didn't actually use an Omni journal, but they did do Omni style in a traveler's notebook. Like maybe they had inserts, and it wasn't actually one notebook, but it was one traveler's notebook. So they had an Omni traveler's notebook. So that's why I changed the name of the group from Omni Journaling with Burgess to Journaling with Burgess, because it shouldn't matter what kind of journal you have. It shouldn't matter what kind of traveler's notebook you have, or if you have a Leuchtturm, or if you have a OneNote, or if you have a, I think, no, it's not OneNote, it's something else. There's a bunch of different brands of journals. I don't care what kind of journal. I don't care if it's morning pages, if it's whatever journaling it is. If you text journal, if you collage journal, if you smashbook journal, if you I don't care what kind of journaling it is. I think journaling is some of why I got through my teenage years. If it hadn't been for a journal, getting through my father's death when I was a little kid would have been near to impossible, because I journaled every day. I couldn't, when I was in second grade, now granted my handwriting and my sentences weren't the most wonderful, but that little pink Barbie diary that I had, it probably saved my sanity when I was grieving for my father. So I don't care what kind of journaling it is. And I'm not speaking bad about any other group at all. I'm just saying I wanted a group where you could post about whatever kind of journal or whatever kind of pages you had in your journal. I didn't want to have to go to a bunch of different kinds of Facebook groups to post pictures, separate my posts. I didn't want to do that. And so that was one of the reasons, like I said, I started the group, and then why I changed the group to just journaling with Burgess. Hold on. Let me. Okay. I just had to check something. Okay. I think how I journal doesn't fall into any one category because I do things from this or that, tracking various things along with other random things and collaging. That's exactly what I'm talking about. When I first started looking up, I can't remember whether it was Miss Vicky B or whether it was Romney or who it was, really, but they talked about an Omni journal. And then so I went researching, and I found Yippee-Ki-Yay's. I had mentioned it in my videos. I was using an Omni journal, because I heard the term from Romney or from Miss Vicky B, and I don't remember. This is some collage. Sorry for the glare on the picture. That's a picture of Mr. Rockstar sleeping. So I don't really care what kind of journaling you do. This was the anniversary of my father's death, so it's not really, it's probably quite a bit different than some of my normal pages. But I do collage. I do all kinds of different things. If I had more magazines, old magazines, I would probably put more pictures from magazines in there. So true, journaling can save sanity in the time of grief and can make the most of your joy. It can. And I'm not going to just write about the good things. If I'm having an off day, or if I'm having a klutzy day, or if you know, I'm going to journal about it. If I really need to journal where it's going to be pages that are very private, then I can cover them with Post-it notes, or I can journal somewhere else. That's kind of what my home beneath is for. I don't really show that on social media very much. I love that page. How can I make pages look like that? I did a background video about how to make backgrounds. I used baby wipes, and I either used watercolor, or I used Derwent Inktense pencils or watercolor pencils. You could also use the spray watercolor, or just get a fatter brush. See this brush? When I want to do a big page, like with a lot of color, I do that. And I'll get a lot of watercolor on there, and I spread it around, and then I take a baby wipe once I've got some of the color. Sometimes you can take a balled up piece of paper, like here's a stick-it note. This is kind of small, but you can, in your palette for watercolor, you can take a piece of paper and do it like, get the watercolor on the crinkly part and then put it on your paper, and it will make it like it almost looks wrinkled when you touch the paper with the crumpled up piece of paper. I find it works better with paper, because as long as you don't use too much watercolor and you just use a little bit, once that piece of paper gets too wet, then you turn it over on the other side and do it, or you just get a new piece of crumpled up paper. I have a separate journal for my deep and sad thoughts. I like keeping that stuff away from my daily, more upbeat stuff, Lisa said. I do that too. A lot of that deep, dark, or sad, or the sort of brainstorming, a lot of that is in my morning pages. And I don't share my morning pages. I might share, like, this was the journal, and somebody commented on one of the videos. I took the sticker off. Somebody commented on it. This is the reason I don't usually use inserts, because I write so much they don't last for very long. I usually like the thicker notebooks. But when I do morning pages, those are private. And sometimes I do those pages in the evening if I need to. Sometimes I don't make it to morning pages, and I end up doing evening pages. But when I need to kind of think about something, or I'm got something on my mind, whether it's happy, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, a lot of that goes into what I call my morning pages journal. That's the text journaling. Got to go pay property tax bill. Be back soon. Okay. But what I've noticed with the journaling, with any kind of label, is that people want to assign. We normally want to assign a label, a title, or something to that. But to be honest, if the proper word I think is journalist, but I'm going to say journaler. If you journal, if you're a journaler, I don't think what matters is what kind of notebook you use, what kind of journal you use, how you store your journal. I don't think it matters what kind of traveler's notebook you have or what kind of planner you have. If you're planning, if you use a bullet journal, if you use a combination of, I commonplace journal in my notebook. I text journal. I put pictures in. I put ephemera in. I watercolor. I do some lettering. I write quotes. I put in things of all kinds. And some days I feel like doing 1 page, and some days I feel like doing 2 pages, and some days I've been known to do 4 to 6 pages. I don't, like, I'll put funny stuff. Like, I have drawn, I don't know if it's in here, but I spilled coffee all over something one day, and I drew the spilt coffee. I don't think it's in this one. No, probably not. Okay, here we go. My vacuum cleaner broke, and hi Bev, my vacuum cleaner broke, and it spit so much dirt all over the floor it didn't even look like I vacuumed. And instead of, like, you know, it made me so frustrated. Instead of taking that like, I could have drawn something really cute and serious about, you know, made it look more, I did a comic kind of thing. I made her on purpose look more stick figure-ish. And the same with the vacuum cleaner, and I put the dirt all over the floor because instead of getting mad and getting frustrated, I made light of it and made fun of it and made it kind of funny, haha, in my journal. Because otherwise, thinking about it and then journaling about it would have just made me more upset because I don't have a vacuum cleaner. It broke, and it shot dirt all over my floor. And then I had to get the broom to get the dirt up off the floor. So we've got to get a new vacuum cleaner. So sometimes, you know, you can do things in your journal and maybe take something that makes you angry or that frustrates you or that makes you sad, and you can journal about it. But you can journal about it in a way that when you're going over it doesn't make your anxiety go out the roof again. So Stormbreaker says, I agree to deal with my anxiety. I write the negative stuff down and I try to keep that separate. I used to do anxiety trackers, but then I started feeling bad looking back on them. I just kind of do the color. I do one overall color, and I have mood, depression, anxiety, and that's because after 2 months of being sick, I noticed that some things were making the anxiety and the depression worse, and I kind of needed, during the month of April, to kind of know what was making it worse, because I don't take medicine for it anymore. I got off of medicine about 6 years ago or more. Actually, it's probably going on 7 years now. And because I don't take medicine for it anymore, I have to keep up with what causes it to inflame, I guess. Because I do more cognitive behavioral therapy kind of stuff for it, since I don't take medicine. So I have to actually pay attention to stuff that triggers the anxiety and the depression, so I can kind of keep it at bay. We're also eating healthier, and I'm exercising, I'm walking, I'm doing some kind of exercise every day for anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour to help with all of that, because it was getting pretty bad. When I get to the point where I feel like I might need to get on medicine again, and I wasn't journaling at all, it was pretty bad. So I had to make some kind of change, which is why April, like I said, is, you know, back to basics. I'm purging, decluttering, I'm exercising, you know, doing a lot of things that can help me feel better all the way around. I oftentimes tend to neglect my own self-care. Like, I'll get so busy doing everything else that I forget to eat, or that I forget to, you know, take a few minutes for me. And April has been a really good month for me so far, because I've been working on, you know, basic things like, okay, for breakfast, because I used to be a big breakfast eater. Now I got older, I hit my 40s, and I didn't really want breakfast. I couldn't eat first thing in the morning anymore. So now, an hour after I get up, when I go to grab that like third cup of coffee, I grab a banana, or I grab a piece of toast, or I grab a bagel, or I grab a yogurt, and that's usually my breakfast. And then I'll wait a little while, and then I'll fix a healthy lunch. Trying to work on, you know, some of that stuff. Lisa says, I usually end up laughing at frustrating things. I imagine it as a scene in a movie. Yeah, and if somebody would have seen me doing that no, 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 no dance, and I journal about it, in the middle of my living room when the vacuum cleaner spit dirt out all over the floor, people would have been laughing their asses off. Because I literally like danced around the living room, you know, going, no, 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 no. But I think sometimes we put too much stock into what others do, like how their journal pages look, or how their journals look. We wish we could be more like them, or we wish our pages could be more like their pages. You know, I find myself comparing how my pages look to other people. I find myself comparing, you know, wishing I had like certain supplies, or, you know, that's why I got so frustrated with the label thing, because people were like, well, I don't OmniJournal. So they, you know, and I'm like, the group's not just about OmniJournal. And an OmniJournal is the actual definition of Omni is all things, everything. So it could be any kind of journal. Sylvia says, I do exercise so long to come back to my writing. It's refreshing. I don't think I couldn't stop walking like writing. I think I couldn't stop. I'm not quite sure. I take breaks because this is so sedentary. Sitting at a desk, journaling, sitting at a desk, writing on a computer. So I get up and I walk around. I go out. Not sure what that noise. Oh, it's my camera. It's beeping. The battery's low. So now my computer's gonna let me know. So I try to get up and walk around. Like, I'll go outside and walk around the house like a few times, walk around the yard a little bit, to get some fresh air and some sunshine, because those are really good. Sunshine, vitamin D is really good for depression. Exercise is really good for depression. Exercise of any kind, I've noticed, helps my anxiety. You know, I used to joke around sometimes, because my husband will say, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm walking it off. And what I'm doing is walking off, or, you know, the anxiety that I have. I'm trying to, you know, kind of calm down. Or I'll get up and I'll go do something like the dishes, or I'll go sweep or mop, or something that is physical to help me with the anxiety. So when it comes to journaling, though, I've noticed that if I don't worry about whether it's a bullet journal, or whether it's an OmniJournal, or whether it's a planner, or I don't worry about what brand it is. I just simply love Tomoho River paper. I absolutely love, that's my jam. And I don't worry about what I call it. I'm much more likely to make the pages mine, to make the system work. And I've noticed that the less I concern myself with how, like, this is not a weekly setup. It's actually a focus and goal setup. And I did that because I needed to kind of ground myself, to kind of figure out where I wanted to go for the last 2 weeks of April, and then so that when I'm planning out May and stuff with projects, I kind of have a better idea of what I'm doing. And this was brought up because a friend, she was talking about goal setting and stuff, and somebody else pointed out that I've been doing that. I do that in my Omni journal. I do that in my journal. And so I went back through, because a lot of that goal setting and stuff like that is in random places in my journal. It's not all in one place like it was in this one, because it's still for the new year, for 2017. I have a lot of that in here, but I didn't really have it much in here. I had it a few little places. So I went through, and instead of looking at the old one, I went through where I was at right now, not where I was at the end of December when I was planning out 2017 and the first quarter of the year. I actually started thinking about, okay, where am I at right now? What do I have going on? What's important to me? And I broke it all down like you would do for the David Allen's Getting Things Done. But I started reading his book, and halfway through it, I put it down because it was just too dry for me. It was too text referencey. And sometimes with some stuff like that, I'm more of a visual person. So I watched videos at the end of the year, and then the other day when I was going to do this over the weekend, and I used to do SMART goals. So I ended up, my goal setting is probably a little bit different. I ask the major questions: why, what, when, where, how, that kind of thing. And then after I do that, and I do a little bit of mind mapping, or some people call it life mapping, and I started going through what my goals were, and I just kind of wrote like summaries, and then I got more specific and actually made like a list, a master list. And then I broke them down to, thank you, Ambi. She just subscribed and said good morning. And then I broke it down into the 3 main categories. And I got this part from Boho Berry. I liked what she did when she did some of that stuff about the getting things done, the GTD method, personal, work, and home. And then I broke it down even more. I brainstormed some, and then I broke it down even more, so that when I'm going to do these projects or these goals or these tasks, I have more information. I actually have some actionable steps. Because people do it differently. I think SMART goals are still a really good way to go. I think sometimes goal setting, if something works for you and it works, great. If you're not being able to do that, though, if there's something that has you stuck, sometimes looking at something differently or trying another method helps. I'm all about trying methods that might work and that might help, because I have ADHD. Planning is really important. Having a list of things to do is an absolute necessity. What am I journaling in? Right now, this one is a Nanami paper, 7 Seas Crossfield. The one that's in this one is a Taroko Design Enigma. They are both Tomoho River paper. The Enigma is 68 GSM, and the Crossfield is 52 GSM. It has the same paper that the Hobonichi has in it. And the Enigma has a little bit thicker paper, a little bit thicker Tomoho River paper than the Hobonichi, if that helps. I tend to journal in between things. Like I'll write for a while and then I'll journal. I get up in the morning and I kind of set up my page. Before I go to bed at night, I look over the pages. Is that sticker gone? What sticker? Rachel George said, hi Burgess, has that sticker gone? I don't know what sticker. But I've noticed that in the evenings when I'm watching television with Mr. Rockstar and I journal, TJ Maxx. Yes, I showed it, but I'm not using the journal anymore. The journal's all filled now for my morning pages. I talked about this in the beginning of the video, how I took the sticker off. I couldn't remember who said something about the sticker. But yeah, it's gone. It really relaxes me in the evening. I get to spread out my stuff all over the coffee table. Sometimes I film it. When I'm filming, when we watch television, that's normally when you're going to hear music in the background, because otherwise you'd hear what we're watching on TV in the background. So I either will do narration and like do a voiceover, or I'll just add music to it. I did the bunny rabbit one. I did this, the one I showed the video. I did this when we were watching TV and filmed it, and that's why there was music. So for those of you who are in the Journaling with Burgess group, or for those of you who are thinking about joining it, like I said, it doesn't matter what kind of journal you have, how you journal, what you journal in, what you journal with. It doesn't really matter. Thank you. It doesn't matter. I love to journal, and I journal in a variety of ways. I do text journaling. I actually journal for my writing. I have a spiritual journal. I have a tarot journal. I do a lot of different kinds of journaling. And so like I said, in back at the end of February and in March, when I don't want to journal, it's not a good thing. Lisa says, what do you listen to when you write, or is it easier and quiet? When I'm writing, sometimes if I'm about to write an action scene, I'll listen to some classic rock, or I'll listen to a soundtrack, an instrumental soundtrack, or a regular soundtrack from an action movie. Like I really like listening to the Braveheart soundtrack because there's not really very much voice. It's pretty much instrumental, but it gets me in the mood for action scenes. I do actually write to rainy moods sometimes, and I'll put in instrumental music with the rainy moods. There's a way you can watch you can do rainy moods and add like a YouTube video of music to it. Like if you have your playlist or whatever on YouTube of music, or if there's like a soundtrack of music on YouTube. I don't know if there are other ways to add music to rainy moods, but I like ambient music or instrumental music when I write. Now, like I said before, I'm going to write a really big action scene. I'll listen to more. Sometimes I've listened to classic rock. My husband is a musician. We studied journaling in my nursing program, very healing for patients. I can't talk enough about how much journaling has actually helped me with my depression and my anxiety and stuff. This shirt, the sleeve is rolling up again. But I find that no matter what kind of journaling it is I do, whether it's art, and coloring or whatever. I've sat down at the kitchen table with my grandson and we have colored pages or drawn stuff or whatever. And the very act of that has, you know, he's a toddler. He's 4, he's almost 5. And over the last couple of years, I've noticed when he gets kind of antsy and they get bored kind of easy at that age, they get distracted really easily. I can do something creative with him, like we can color or paint something or do something, build something like that. And I've noticed that it really helps him. It helps him focus a little bit more. It helps him kind of calm down a little. It's a great activity for me to do with him when it's like rainy outside and he's visiting, and I can't take him in the yard where he can, you know, go run and play. But and you notice these little things, you know, like I notice when I journal, how much better I feel after I've journaled, whether it's the drawing part or the painting part or the writing part. And I won't say that there's any one thing that's more helpful than the other because they're all helpful. They all help me keep sane. they keep, journaling keeps me sane. Sometimes when the writing gets to be a much, or when the cleaning, or when the arthritis gets to be a much, the pain, or, you know, like when vacuum cleaners break and put dirt all over your floor, or you spill the whole pitcher of sweet tea all over your kitchen floor and you have to mop it 3 times to get the stickiness up. You know, sometimes things frustrate you, make you want to pull your hair out. And if I can put a funny spin on it, you know, and make my journal page, that one part about my journal page about how that happened, you know, during the day to me, I don't know, by the time I'm done with that and I've made fun of it and I've made it kind of a joke or a, you know, a funny ha-ha kind of picture or a quote or something, I feel a lot better. I don't know, it's like a release. But I've noticed that adding the planning part, or and I'm going to call it all planning, and I'm not going to refer to any kind of differences, whether it's bullet journaling or whatever kind of planning it is. I'm just going to call it all planning. I've noticed that adding the planning pages before my week, setting up my week, and I've started doing this is the second week I've actually done like a little theme. When I set it up, it gives me it gives my brain a sort of a way to kind of process how my week is going to go, what things I need to kind of get done. And I can plan it out a little bit better when I can add some art or do something, some color or something to my page. Now, it works great for me, but for somebody who is more of a minimalistic planner and maybe they don't want art or color on their page, that wouldn't work for them. I tried the minimalistic where I just plan or I just like do a weekly spread. But you know, every single time I did that, and I'll show you, every time I did that, this is what happens. I ended up with color on the page. This is the actual bullet journal when I was trying to do just bullet journaling. It didn't end up just bullet journaling. That's not just bullet journaling. This is as close to minimalistic as you're going to get. And I was trying so hard to be, you know, to do it that way. And that's as minimalistic really as it gets for me. Yeah. And so I tried doing like sort of some summary of how the day went on my daily page. But this ended up, instead of being a bullet journal, if I'd have kept going with it, it would have ended up being more like my journal is, and this, but would not quite as much art in it. So no matter which way I do stuff, it's always going to end up with the art. I mean, it's always going to end up with the art. I can't not, I just can't not do it. So this is supposed to be just my bullet journal. Like, it's not, you know, it's not really supposed to be. So I decided, since there was no way for, yeah, this is it. And you know, I tried and I just stopped because I can't, this does not make me happy. It does not make me happy. When all I'm doing is filling in a little box with color, I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, so Ambi said, I think it's good to just get it out. I have a few notebooks and I do different things in each one, but actually journaling, I haven't done it over a year. Lisa said, I love the art with it. Ambi said, her art is awesome. I love color. Thank you. Sylvia says, no need to go against your nature. Your pages are so full of color and art are so beautiful. Thank y'all. But Lisa says, I can't draw, so use stickers. That's one of the things when we are now making a list of words for May's journal prompt. It's yours. You're not getting graded on it or anything. Actually, people do kind of grade it. When you put it on social media, people do kind of grade it. But you know what? I don't care. I got past the that part of it. I still get anxious sometimes. I still get a little nervous. But you have to be true to you. And there are no rules for journaling. There's no rules. I called the video planning and journaling combo, and I called it one notebook to rule them all, because that's what I pretty much have. Instead of having a bullet journal or a text journal or a Smashbook journal or a visual illustrated whatever art journal. Because see, when you say art journal, a lot of people think of mixed media. And I don't really do very much mixed media in a journal. I do it in a sketchbook, and I do it in projects. I like acrylic for projects, but I don't put acrylic in my journal anymore. I tried. And watercolor's just what I like in my journal. But you can take, where is the one page? Okay. This, I got an advertisement in the mail, and part of this was on part of the advertisement, and I cut it out and I used it on my journal page. That came in mail, like some kind of advertising for something. I don't know if it was my phone company's like thing that they send once every quarter with how the phone company is doing, or if it was in a church, a new church opened, and we got some advertisement from a bunch of different things, all different kinds of things. But that came out from some kind of advertisement, and I ended up, and then I went online because I watched Doctor Strange, and I love the movie, and so I went online and printed that. Nope, I didn't print that one. That one came in an advertisement for, I want to say it was cable. Yeah, that one came in an advertisement for cable. I printed one for a different movie from somewhere. That came from Happy Mail, and I collaged and put it on there. But in the journal prompts, we're using words, and we're probably going to do phrases this time too, I think is what we've decided. And in the journal prompts that I put in the journaling group, I put them on Instagram, if you don't want to draw, you can letter, you can collage, you can write a quote. You don't have to draw. I mean, it doesn't, you know, I'm doing it. One of the best journal prompt challenge kind of things I have ever done is there was a Dr. Seuss quote challenge, or a Dr. Seuss something challenge. And you were supposed to write a Dr. Seuss quote every day during whatever month that was. I want to say it was last summer. And every day I did a Dr. Seuss quote, and most of the days when I did that, I drew something from Dr. Seuss. I think one day I drew the hat, one day I drew the goldfish. You know, I found a piece of clip art, and then I used that piece of clip art, and then I watercolored behind that. Sylvie says, no need to go against your nature. Okay, I already said that. Lisa said, I can't draw. She uses stickers. It's yours. You're not getting graded. I already said all that too. I use cheap, colorful notebooks from Walmart. Nothing fancy with nice paper. When I very first started doing this, and I was doing some of this kind of journaling back in high school, I would add pictures and concert ticket stubs and comic strips. I have a comic strip on the kitchen table right now that I need to put in my journal. And I used those marbled composition notebooks, and there are a lot of people who do those. They're like $1, $1.99. I don't think, depending on where you can get them from, you can get them anywhere from $1 to like $3. But if you glue the pages together, they're pretty sturdy if you glue them together. A lot of people use those for collage journals. If you glue them together, the paper kind of holds up. But I've used cheap paper, I've used cheap journals, I've used more expensive journals. But because I do so much writing in mine and I add so much watercolor, if I were doing just collage and coloring with colored pencils, I probably would not be using the journals that I use. I would use something different. We have quite a few people in the journaling group who use those composition notebooks or notebooks from wherever, and they don't draw. And I have one lady in the group, and she puts up the prettiest pictures. She doesn't draw, so she adds color to her background, and she has some stickers on there. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I look at her page, and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's got all this color on it, and kind of on the corners or in a border, she's got like stickers. She had this one page, and it had these butterflies that kind of trimmed the edge of the paper. And I wanted to write on that piece of paper that she put the picture of so bad, and just kind of journal on that page. And I have done that. I have, I don't think I have it in here, but this day I didn't do any drawing other than a little tiny coffee cup. This is a puffy sticker, a thing that came on something that I got, and then this was stuff that came in Happy Mail. So on this side of the page, I didn't do anything but journal, and the only thing I actually drew in watercolor was that little tiny coffee mug over in the corner. All of that is just stuff I added to my page that came from other places, like the little puffy campfire sticker. And you know, I add stickers. That came from an old Christmas, a box that Christmas cards came in, I think is what that came from. And this coffee cup right beside on the other side, that came out of a magazine. And that came out of a magazine. And that's cursive practicing. And I screwed up trying to draw the pictures on the back of the sled. I mean, not the pictures, the presents, not the pictures. I screwed up trying to draw the presents on the back of this shed. So I went and I put a bunch of stickers on the back of the shed, because the sled, not the shed, the sled. I'll get it out in a minute. Because I messed up so badly that I couldn't even fix it. So I just covered the whole back of Santa's sled with stickers. This came out of a little storybook that I picked up for 25 cents from a thrift store. It was a kid's Christmas storybook, and a bunch of the pages were missing out of it. So I used that in my journal. And probably this year, around Christmas time, I'll take some more pictures out of that little book and use it in my journal pages. And that was a big mishap that I covered with. Yeah, she's supposed to have a thermometer in her mouth, and I had her lips puckered out, and my husband did not like the way that that looked. He made fun of it, and so it ended up getting covered. But I use stickers. I use stuff from That's January's Planning. That's sticker. But I'm trying to. Yeah, so where's the background? There's a background picture in here. This came out off of the box from the hair straightener I got, and it works okay. It doesn't get rid of all my curl, but it gets rid of some of it. So instead of like drawing that or whatever, I just cut that from the box and put it on there and wrote on it. Your journal pages, you can use whatever works for you on your pages. I get stuff from anywhere and everywhere. A lot of the stuff that I use is free, or I get it for really cheap. Thrift stores and consignment stores and stuff like that are a really good way to get magazines or books, especially picture books that have been maybe colored in or torn or whatever. Like you can pick them up for 25 cents or $1. And especially children's books have a lot of really good illustration stuff in it if you don't want to draw. Children's coloring books and stuff are great too. Just ask my grandson. I borrowed a couple of pictures or so from his coloring book to actually draw or to put in my journal. So does anybody have any questions? I just don't want, people have asked a lot of questions about what I do, you know, how I set up things. This was last week, so this needs to go because it's now Tuesday. But this was last week's, and I make mistakes. When I drew the crock pot on the other side of here, I talked about it. It ended up ghosting really bad. Like it's not quite bleed through. But it's almost. So it just, yeah, that wasn't good. Ambi says, I do have an art journal. It's a mixed media one. In all other journals, I do sticker stamps, washi, pictures, collage, and writing. Yeah, see, I do all of those in this journal that you just talked about, stickers, stamps, washi, pictures, collage, and writing. I just also draw. But I don't do mixed media much at all. I have some friends who do a lot of mixed media. And I love acrylic paint for projects. Like I like to draw on things and then paint like a scene. Like I have a table that Mr. Rockstar and I are thinking about turning into, it used to be a bar table. Literally, it was in a bar that my husband used to play gigs at. It's big wood, it's round. Bar stools sat at it. We have a couple of the bar stools. The bar stools you can't leave outside, but I'm thinking about taking acrylic paint and drawing some stuff. I saw a couple of tables done like what I'm thinking about doing on Pinterest, and I'm thinking about like doing something on there and actually like drawing stuff on it. And then if I can, maybe getting some of that, what is it called? The little tiny pieces of glass where you do that on a tabletop. I can't think of what it's called right now. Mosaics, I think is what it's called. And in a few places where I put like different things, like instead of doing um, Zentangle, like thinking about putting little pieces of the little glass rocks or little stones or pieces of glass, and doing some things on there so that it's like a DIY kind of sort of Zentangle-y mandala kind of thing on there. But it's going to be, I'm not going to have, it may be free form because um, I don't, I can't draw a complete circle and not have it even unless I use something. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I haven't quite decided. But I'm scared to kind of start, because if I screw it up too bad, then I'll have to start all over. So, I'm trying to get the ideas formulated because I don't want it to be a mandala, but I want it kind of Zentangle-y and feel. But I love how the mosaics look. So I want the paint and colors like of things, and then I want to add the little glass pieces and the little rocks and the beads and stuff like that to it. So because it's going to end up being an outdoor table. You can't draw to save your life. A lot of people say that, but you know, we don't come out of the womb we don't come out of the womb knowing how to draw. So people are like, well, you're talented. But people who draw kept at it, and they kept at it, and they kept at it, and practice makes perfect. My husband learned how to play the guitar himself. He taught himself. And he's like, baby, do you want to learn how to play the guitar? I'm like, you know what? In order to play the guitar, you have to practice. And strumming the strings hurt my fingers. I'm like, you're good. You can be the musician. I'll be, he's like, well, I can't draw anything more than stick figures. I'm like, well, I could help teach you how to draw. And he's like, no, you be the artist and I'll be the musician. But I think if you want to draw, you can. I don't think it's so much about whether you're good or excellent or not good or talented or not talented. If it's fun and you enjoy it, do it. Because honestly, your worst critic is going to be yourself. People aren't going to be looking at your work and judging it anywhere nearly the way that you are. We are truly our own worst critics. So, Ambi, if you want to draw, I say draw. You can go on Pinterest or go on Google and search out clip art, and you can kind of copy what's in the clip art, or you can actually Google search how to draw cute stick figures. And there are a lot of really great things with stick figures. That's what I did with the girl when I did the vacuum cleaner breaking. I did that. And that's like, it looks like a kid drew that. But that's kind of how I wanted it to look. I wanted it to be kind of comic strippy. I wanted it to be kind of elementary school-ish, just fun, haha. I didn't want it to be anything super serious, So, and this is an image that came from clip art or from Creative Commons and Google search, and I took half of it off. I cut half of it off. So I didn't have the lady in the picture. I just cut it off where you just see her hands at the typewriter. Lisa says, I had a piano teacher that told me I was not a natural talent. Reality was I love music, but I don't want to be a musician. Had a chorus teacher when I was in middle school put me in the dance lineup when we were learning how to do the song from Grease. And you could tell how old I am because I'm telling you this. And we were singing. My mom can sing. I have uncles. I have one uncle that was, people, if you're not old enough, you may not know what Star Search is, but Star Search is like American Idol, only it was a long time ago. My uncle placed second in Star Search. My other uncle has a gospel CD out. Most of my mom's brothers taught themselves how to play guitar, and they can all sing. I can't carry a tune. I can sing Aerosmith's Walk This Way, and These Boots Were Made for Walking, because those are more like rappy, talky kind of songs. I cannot sing, but my husband can sing his ass off. And he's like, baby, I don't care. You know, he's like, you sound good to me. And I'm like, baby, the dogs are howling. And, but I cannot sing. And I know the chorus teacher was like, well, let's just put you in the dance group. But my husband said that it doesn't, there are some people who are more of a natural at it, and there are some people who aren't, but you can be taught to sing. Like when I told him I can't carry a tune, he's like, well, baby, you could be taught to carry a tune. I'm like, yeah, not really my thing. Now doing calligraphy as my drawing, not so great. I am trying to learn faux calligraphy, to learn lettering. My aunt can calligraphy. She can do that, and her handwriting is gorgeous. Sometimes my handwriting's good, sometimes not so good. It really depends on what mood I'm in, and if I use a ruler so I don't slant. And this was, though, I penciled this, and then I did it with watercolor. I did it in the video, you can see. And if I slow down, it's okay. My biggest problem with faux calligraphy is that I tend to put my words too close together. So I've got to practice spreading the letters out. The words get too close together, the letters get too close together, and it's kind of hard to do the faux calligraphy when your letters are so close together and then your words are so close together. But I like practicing. I like practicing. So I'm trying. I'm trying. Lisa says she can't sing either. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I can't sing. I can draw some. I can dance some. I've got some rhythm. I just can't carry a tune. Yeah, all about spacing. Yes, Rachel, it is all about spacing. And you know, I'm trying. I think I'm ready to go to Walmart this weekend and get one of those tablets for the elementary school kids, like what I would need for my grandson to learn how to do his letters. And or print some out, find some on Google and print some out and start practicing. And start really practicing. Can't dance or sing, Amby says. So, but does anybody have any questions? I think combining planning and journaling for some people is really hard. Some people can't do it. They need them completely separate. That's how their brains work. The left brain, right brain thing, which is the opposite for me of why I can't seem to just plan, to just do journal, to just do like bullet journal, because no matter how hard I try, my right brain kicks in and I have to have color or art or whatever. Ask everyone this: what's your favorite color? My favorite colors are red and purple. I used to be in the purple room, but that room was just too dark, and it's a little bit smaller than this room. So when my son moved out, I moved into the aqua colored, the turquoise colored room, and my furniture was already red because we had originally painted this room this color for my red furniture, because I like the color combo. And I have an Italic nib pen, and what I need to do is clean it out and put the platinum carbon ink in it, which is waterproof, and just start using my Italic nib Jinhao fountain pen, because it's really pretty. My handwriting looks really pretty with it. I want to learn real calligraphy though. I just been doing, faux calligraphy, just to kind of do a little bit fancy lettering, but I really want to learn how to do real calligraphy. So C. Ann's favorite color is purple. I think some of the reason that people do faux calligraphy is they want fancy writing, and maybe not everybody has a a fountain pen, because in order for you to have an italic nib, you'd have to have a fountain pen, and not everybody has a fountain pen. And with faux calligraphy, you can use any kind of pen. You can use a ballpoint pen, a felt tip pen, any kind of pen. Turquoise. I love turquoise. It's not my favorite color, but it looks really good with my favorite color, thus the room. Blue and purple. Poet Spices. Linda says, my sister does real calligraphy. It's total pain. I could not put up with it. Yeah, like I said, my aunt can do real calligraphy. And she offered to do our wedding invitations and stuff. But because she lives in Georgia, it would have been a really big pain in the butt for her to do all of those. Mail the stuff to her and then send it to me, our dip pen, which is better to use with India inks. I don't have a dip pen, and I don't have any India ink, but that's a dip pen is probably what on my next section of wish list stuff. It's on my big wish list, a dip pen. And I want some of those, whatever they're called, D.H. Martin or whatever Martin, the watercolor ink things, the jars of the, I want some of those. And I'm trying to think, there was something else. I just haven't made up my mind whether the glass dip pen thing or the wooden one or the metal, you know, I don't know what kind of dip pen. I need to do some research about dip pens and India inks because I don't really know very much about them. But I would love to have a dip pen and some India ink. Yeah, okay. So we have some wind coming. My internet just went in and out. What you call it. So I'm gonna ask, I guess, real quick if there are any other questions because I'm looking at the trees right out the window moving. It's kind of stormy here. CN says I would love to try calligraphy too. Sometimes my writing is illegible as a doctor's. My daughter just got a calligraphy set to try to learn how to. She said if she likes it, she'll get me one. If she doesn't like it, she'll just give me that one. The glass ones are all one piece, no nib. You can shape the point a bit with sandpaper. You make dip pens as you're a wood turner. When is your big birthday? I will be the big 50 on July 23rd, Rachel. Stay safe. No showers when it's thundering and lightning. Yeah. What is your favorite music? Do you have any books published? No, I don't have any books published. When I was in high school, I had some poetry and a short story or two published. I wrote on our high school's newspaper, so I had those stories published. But they were published in those anthologies that, you know, your parents can buy for your stuff to be in. You have to, they sort out and they have judges who pick short stories and poetry and stuff for those. And then when I was in college, I had a couple of poems published in the college's literary newspaper, and I had a couple of articles posted in the college literary newspaper, but I have not been published yet. I need to finish my book before I get to that point. I've been working on this book now for a few years. I'm determined this is the year to finally finish it. I love writing. I have a few fountain pens. I like the extra fine nibs. Somebody asked. I like the extra fine nibs for drawing. I have somewhere, I think it's in the living room, I have the carbon desk pen. It's a long pen. It's the kind of pen that goes in the little pen holder that sits on the desk. And it has that super extra fine nib for drawing. So for sketching, it's like really, really good. One of these is a medium nib, and one of these is just a fine nib. I like, depending on what kind of writing I'm doing, and because I write big. Lisa said you have such a perfect writer's name. That I picked that because Burgess is actually my maiden name. And my first name is Melissa. But my whole life have been called Burgess because that was my maiden name, and there were a lot of Melissas. The only other nickname I've ever had is Missy, and only my parents and my brother call me that. But when I got married to Mr. Rockstar, his last name is Taylor, and there were already a lot of Melissa Burgess is, but Melissa Taylor was even more common. And there is a writer or a lady, somebody whose name is actually Melissa Burgess Taylor. And I was like, you know what? She's got my whole damn name. You know, so I tried to think of when I was going to do YouTube and do the book stuff and the writing stuff. And I dropped my middle name and made my last name my middle name. Because when I was younger, I wanted to name one of my kids Burgess. But it didn't turn out that way with my kids because my ex-husband's name was too close to my last name. It was just a different culture, different spelling. So I said, you know what? That's okay. I'll just use my name because it's my name. And so Burgess Taylor is my name. It's just, I don't really go by Melissa very much at all. The only people who ever call me that now is just family. So Mr. Rockstar calls me Melissa and Burgess. It just depends on what mood. So that's actually my name. Like a lot of people do pen names. I'm actually using a part of my real name. I bought a calligraphy pen set, but have yet to open them. I guess it's time. Thanks for the inspiration in your videos. You're very welcome. Yes, Sylvia said, as you said before, no harder critic than yourself. Yes. So back to Ambi's question, what's your favorite music and do you have any books published? My favorite music is music from the 70s. Music from the 70s and 80s. I like R&B from the 70s and 80s, and I like classic rock from the 70s and the early 80s. And I like jazz music and the blues. I love jazz music and I love the blues. So yeah, and so my favorite nibs, though, back to this ADHD moment, I like the medium to write with. If I'm doing planning, I like the fine. Like for the bullet journal, stay in the dot grid thing, because I write so big I have to use the fine. But for everything else, for pretty handwriting, or for when I do anything else, I love the italic nibs. I haven't tried a broad nib. I don't know. I probably could look up what's the difference between a broad nib and an italic nib, because I just really started learning about fountain pens. So I need a fountain pen 101 course. Excuse me. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the writing thing. I try to stay with the NaNoWriMo event so that it keeps me in the habit of writing, because sometimes you get a little lazy and you get busy with everything else, or maybe you're having a kind of a slump, and having NaNoWriMo events like Camp NaNoWriMo and NaNoWriMo and stuff really help me keep in the mood to write every day. And then the journaling helps with the anxiety and the depression, and I try to kind of keep up with all things creative so that helps. Did you watch the Grammy tribute to the Bee Gees that was on this past Sunday night? No, I did not. But when I was in middle school, I had a huge poster of the Bee Gees, Andy Gibb, Leif Garrett, Prince, and Sean Cassidy on my walls. Yeah, definitely had the Prince poster, because when I was in high school, I think I got the poster of Purple Rain, and then I had a Prince poster. Yeah. I'm telling my age. Check out Goulet's Pens YouTube channel. I've checked out some of his videos. I actually watched his video to learn how to do these things, because these have the little tools that TWSBIs do. They're much different. And I watched his video on how to learn how to use converters and stuff like that. I like Brian's videos. Thank you, Linda. I messaged a friend of mine right before the video, and I was like, okay, I'm going live like in 10 minutes, trying to come up with ideas. I said, and my anxiety's like shooting out of the roof. I said, I'll be okay after the first 5 minutes. But I'm an introverted extrovert. So I'm a little bit shy. I like, especially around new people, and I don't like big groups, and I don't like a lot of loud noise. And so right when I first start doing a video, like the first few minutes, that especially when I'm going live, that's when I'm the most anxious, or those first few minutes. And then I'm okay. Once I start talking, I'm okay. I'm a bit of a rambler. Once I get going, it's hard to shut me up. So I'm gonna give you like 3 or 4 more minutes before, because we've definitely got a storm coming, and then I'm gonna get off of here and I'm gonna give you some lunch, and then I'm gonna create my Janelli Fish winner announcement video. It's not gonna be very long, so I can announce the winner. I do write poetry. I don't write it very often now, but for 10 years or more, actually, yeah, for over 10 years, that's all I wrote. I didn't write fiction at all. I only wrote poetry. So I was in a not so healthy, happy relationship for almost a decade, and I wrote a ton of poetry. I every now and again write. I write poetry like 3 or 4 times a year now. What is your favorite part of your journal, and just journaling in general? The favorite part of my journal, other than the act of journaling itself, is how I can go back and look at my journal. For example, on this day, I can go back and look at my journal, and I've written, we had storms, we had hurricane and tornado and hail watches, we had lightning and thunder. I filmed what we ate, you know, some things. And knowing that one day my grandson can look at this, especially if something happens to me before he is an adult. Because my father died when I was little, and my grandparents are all gone now. And if I'd had some kind of journal or even letters or something that had belonged to my father, I would have had a way to kind of get to know him on a different level, you know, than just having my memories. So I wanted to have something. I've been journaling on and off for a long time. Now, a lot of my journals when my kids were young, though, were just text journaling. You know, what people think of as diary style journaling, only I didn't use a diary. I've always used a journal, and I've always kind of put stuff in it, like pictures or whatever. But knowing that I can pass this down to my grandson, and that he can look and see, like, my husband and I watched the last Rocky movie called Creed on that day. You know, he'll see where I talked about the vacuum cleaner breaking right here. You know, and he gets an idea because I made a joke of it, and he can kind of get to know me a little bit through that journal. And that's that it's a keepsake in a way. I mean, my morning pages are going to get tossed. They're not going to, you know, I don't know that I will keep those, because they're very different kind of journaling. Lisa says, these live coffee chats are great. I really enjoy spending time with you. And Ambi says, I love your hair. Well, the hair is hereditary. I'm just not coloring it anymore. I'm letting all the white come out. My natural hair color is a mixture of brown and red and black and blonde, because I am sort of a Scottish, Irish, Native American, Spanish, etc. mix. So the hair just, it's hereditary. I got it from my father. I enjoyed, this is the first live coffee chat really that I've had. I think I might have done another one a long time ago. I do live videos every now and again, but this was a lot of fun. And no matter what I did yesterday, I tried it 5 or 6 times. I could not get the coffee chat video to work. So it's like the hell with it. Everyone should journal for the reason you state. I wish my father had kept a diary and kept it away from my mother. Laugh out loud. I would love to know what he was really about. Everyone should journal. Yes, I agree, Linda. My mom wrote poetry. Now my mom can't really read because she can't. She's right at legally blind. But my mom, my whole life, has written poetry. And my mom kind of journaled on and off a little, but mostly my mom just wrote poetry. So I do have her poetry, which is a way to get to know her. My uncle, who has the gospel CDs, he actually turned one of my mom's poems into a song and had it published on his gospel CD. So my mom is a writer. And my grandmother wrote and my grandfather wrote letters back and forth when my grandfather was overseas during the war. So I do have 1 or 2 letters, but there are a lot of us grandkids. So I don't have very many of them. I think I only have 1 or 2. But I wanted some kind of keepsake. Once my daughter had my grandson, I knew that I needed something for him. You know, and maybe, hopefully, if I ever have any other grandkids, you know, because there'll be enough journals to split up between them. I have plenty of journals. Linda said, yes, the hair. Yeah, the hair. I have a lot of it, and I just trimmed it off, and it's in long layers, and it is super, super thick. Every time I go to my hairdresser, she's fine with cutting it, but every time I ask her to straighten it, she's like, Lord, you got a lot of hair. Rena says, that's a great idea. Thanks. I love the idea of leaving something tangible for future generations. Sylvia said, great coffee chat. Amby says, always wanted curly hair. And Melina says, you're very lovely. Well, thank you. I think Melina. I appreciate that. So I'm going to get off of here. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I have really had a blast. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to be leaving tomorrow to go to my mom's to pick up the table and the big desk. My Nana wrote some poetry in the 70s and the early 80s. Straighten it, sacrilege. I straighten it maybe once a month. And the reason I do that, I went for a very, very long time without ever straightening my hair. I had it chemically straightened when I was a freshman in high school, and it lasted for 2 weeks, and the curls came right back. My hair is what people would call in-between hair. For those of you who aren't sure, it's more of like what a mixed race person's hair would be, and that's probably because I'm a big mixture of a bunch of different races. But the Irish and the Scottish, a lot of people who are from that have super curly hair. My mom also comes from Cherokee and Crow Indian, so very thick, coarse hair. And my daddy, of course, was Scottish, Irish, and Spanish. So I wasn't getting away. My brother has curly hair too, but he keeps his real short. So I straighten it once a month or so. It takes forever to straighten it because it's so thick. But I do that because once I straighten it, I can brush it. I cannot brush my hair with it curly, otherwise I look like Mufasa. And so when you do that, when you can take the brush and brush it, it massages your scalp, and it's really good for your scalp to be able to brush your hair. So once a month I try to straighten it so that I can take the brush and brush my hair, and then I don't have to do much to it once I straighten it. I don't do much to it when it's curly. I put stuff in it. It's still damp right now. It's still damp. I put stuff in it, and that's it. I don't style my hair other than to put my fingers through it sometimes. So I've tried a bunch of different hairstyles, and the only thing that really works for me is long layers and a lot of moisturizer. So y'all have an amazing day. Thanks you. I'm glad, Poet, that I made your lunch break fun. Can I use a pick on it? If I wanted it to be really big, I could use a pick. I have a wide tooth comb, and then I have one of those detangler brushes. It's actually a brush for curly hair that will detangle, but it doesn't really massage your scalp. I mean, I could technically do it while my hair is wet, but I have one of those brushes with the rubbery part on the end. They're like the little balls that are for curly hair. And when I straighten it, that's what I use because it'll massage my scalp. But mostly I use the wide tooth comb or the detangler brush. And that's how I get the tangles out after I wash it. I mean, I could put a brush through it while it's wet, but regular hair brushes will break off curly hair. They're not good for curly hair. You have to have a brush that's specifically for curly hair. And once my hair is dry, you don't want to put any kind of brush or pick or comb or anything to it because it's Shaka Khan, Mufasa hair. My hair would be huge. Yeah, so like I said, I've had a lot of people go, well, you should straighten your hair, or your hair, you look so much younger with it straight, or, you know, a lot of that. People with curly hair often get that. And I like being able to do what I want to do with it. If I want to straighten it, I can, but if I don't ever straighten my hair again in my whole lifetime, that's fine too. I don't have to straighten it, and I don't straighten it for anybody else, really. I do it every now and again because I want to, and I think it's neat when it's straight because it doesn't feel like my hair. It feels like somebody else's hair. So, I feel like a kind of a weird like version of me. Like I'm my own doppelganger. So it is just fun, but the main reason that I do it is so that I can brush my hair like regular people brush their hair, so that it can massage my scalp and stuff. Because with coarse hair, with dry coarse hair, you tend to have dry scalp, especially when it's the winter time because of the heaters and stuff like that. So I do it a lot more in the winter time than I do in the summertime. So that's it, y'all. And I don't wear contacts very often. People have asked about that too because of the glare in the videos with the glasses. People have asked about, I do have contacts. I do wear them every now and again. But I can't, when I wear my contacts, they don't work the way that the progressive lenses in my glasses work. I still have to wear like reading glasses to actually journal, to do anything where I could see fine lines or little tiny writing with my contacts in. For regular stuff, like to just walk around or drive or see, you know, I'm fine without the reading glasses. But with my contacts on, I actually need to wear reading glasses, and I don't like doing that. If I'm gonna wear glasses, I'm just gonna wear glasses. So I only wear the contacts mostly like when we're gonna go out, or when my nose from right here just needs a break from glasses. So I hope that answers any questions. This is supposed to be about journaling and planning, but that's okay. That's okay, because I mean, people do have questions. So thanks, y'all. Have a good one. If you have any other questions or you have any comments, you can just leave them below, because the regular chat will disappear once it gets published to YouTube and it's actually published. Bye, y'all. Thanks.